There's a lot of law of attraction. I think the way that became very popular was through Rhonda Byrne's The Secret. And that seems to be a lot of people's introduction into spirituality, is that law of belief and bringing what you want or like attracts like.
Yeah, that's correct. And she's actually from Australia, Rhonda Byrne. She's from Queensland.
Oh, I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Do people have to be a certain religion or have certain beliefs to start manifesting? Or because sometimes I know some people, like, they just start accidentally manifesting and things just line up for them, like the synchronicities and all that.
No, I mean, I know people that are totally atheist and don't have a religion that manifest, and then there's people that are very religious, and then there are people that grew up with religion but perhaps have stepped away from it and just have a one-on-one connection with God. So it's something that you can do no matter where you're at with religion or spirituality.
Yeah, and in some cases, I have a brother-in-law who doesn't believe in manifesting, but he is one of the best manifestors I have ever seen. He just radiates. He radiates accomplishment, I guess, where he just says, "I want something, I'm gonna do it," and it happens. Everything lines up.
Yeah, great self-belief. That's wonderful.
Yeah. But there's a lot of, strategies or tactics that people have these days on, let's say, TikTok or Instagram. I'm seeing the 2 cups method, where you pour water from like your current reality into your ideal reality, and then you throw it away or you drink it. Or there's the 369 method. What is your thoughts on all of these that people are talking about?
I think there are some useless techniques and methods, and I think there's some really good ones. I think the ones that really work on your mind and your emotions are the best ones, such as affirmations, meditations, visualizing, and also, the 369 method is, I think, quite a good one. The whispering technique is you working from within, and I think that's quite good as well. I've used all of those vision boards. They've been around for a long time, so they've stood the test of time. I think if you stick to the ones that really work on your mindset and really work on you getting away from the problem that you've got currently in front of you, and you focus on the techniques that help you to look at solutions and mentally and emotionally change your state from a problem suffering state to a freedom, joy, happiness, and secure state, then they are the best techniques.
And discussing like the common problems, a lot of people have issues with money. I know personally for me, I've grown up thinking that I have to work very hard for money, and if I am miserable, then that means I'm doing good work, and I deserve money. But if I'm having fun, then I don't deserve it. And so I am actually working to rewire that by first identifying where those beliefs came from, what caused me to ingrain that into my self-concept, and basically accessing it from the subconscious point of view by journaling and meditating and becoming very self-aware, to have then the thought discipline of, okay, every time I have this, let me be aware of it and let me rephrase the statement that I'm saying to myself. But what are some ways that people can then access through meditation? Like, how does that work?
Well, I think money, I'm glad you brought up money first, because money is one that is tangible. You can see it, you can feel it, and there are a lot of negative emotions about money. Anxiety, fear of loss of what you have, anger that people don't pay you, anger people don't pay you enough, guilt that you might be making more money than your parents. Like, there's a lot of negative emotion that can happen around money. So I remember when I was first starting to change my money beliefs, the belief at the time was practice saying, I am abundant, I am prosperous, I am rich. Now, if you grow up with no money, a big pile of abundance and a big pile of prosperity doesn't mean really anything at all to you. And even saying I am rich, it's too far a jump, especially if your parents were on welfare or they were having issues with continual employment, dependent on, say, government subsidies and things. Saying to someone like that, just practice I'm abundant, that's not going to mean a heck of a lot to them. But if you say to someone, okay, you feel really trapped because of your lack of money. What is it that you would really like? Obviously, it's to feel free and to feel financially free. So I worked out a way at the time to go, okay, well, I'm working 4 or 5 days a week, but I am actually free 2 or 3 days a week. I'm free where I don't have to go to work. So on those days, I would go, I was in Australia at the time, and there's lots of beautiful beaches, and even in London, there's lots of parks. And I'd just go walking for an hour and I would practice, I am free, I am free, I am financially free. Now, I was actually free at that time, so it was easier to do it on a day where I was not at work. So practicing the feeling in your body of I am free and the feeling of freedom, which is how people that have money feel, because they can get what they want and they can buy as much as they want, that's the feeling of financial freedom. So I started to practice that, and that feeling was easier to connect with than I am rich or I am wealthy. So for me, that feeling of practicing that on days off then generated more money, and going from about 20 to, I think I was earning $25,000 a year at that time. And then practicing that, made me jump in increments up to 6 figures. So it's the feeling of trappedness that you need to let go of. And it's the feeling of trappedness that so many people feel around money. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think that's really important for people to understand, is when they're first starting out to manifest money, a lot of times, like, the big thinkers will just jump straight into, like, the lottery, for example.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's too big. I always say that even if somebody were to achieve that, it would be very hard to maintain it. And that is why a lot of lottery winners can't keep their wealth after years. I think it's something like within 5 years, it's all lost, because they never learned the belief system attached to that level of money. They don't know the habits, the lifestyle, they go kind of crazy with it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's right. And the same happens with relationships, Shannon. It's exactly the same foundation that you're talking about. Whether it's money and you get this amazing amount and then you lose it all because you haven't got the mindset, the same thing applies to relationships and trying to manifest a specific person. People can do it, but they can't maintain it. And that's the biggest issue that I find in working with people. It's not the attraction, it's not the manifesting, it's the maintaining for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 12 years. That's where you really see what you're made of in terms of having shifted your beliefs.
And I'm glad you brought up relationships. What is it that is causing most people to lose those relationships that they attract?
Trying to use the other person as their source of love, sucking love out of that person, and that person gets so sick of it that they run away. That is what causes, I believe, most breakups. One person is, I want more, I'm not getting enough, I'm dissatisfied, and you should be giving me more. You gave me more before, why aren't you still doing that now? And they are burdening that person with trying to get love from them. When two givers are in a relationship, that relationship thrives. Two people that have good self-love, good self-worth, look after themselves mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and then they bring that food into the relationship and it fertilizes it. And the relationship just gets better and better and better. But there is often an imbalance, and I see this when I'm working with people over the years, that it starts off as two people giving, or one person giving and the other one taking, but being grateful. And then eventually the giver gets tired, gets resentful, gets angry, and then takes off. So It's that thing that we need to watch when we are entering relationships. I need to be someone who is able to meet my own needs and also be overflowing that onto the other person. So they are not responsible for the stuff that's happened to me in past relationships or in my childhood. They're not there to make up for that. And that, I think, is the one bit of information and knowledge that if we can be aware of that, you can save a relationship if you know that. And you can also transform a bad relationship if you're at the tail ends of it and it's, about to fall over. You can resurrect and save relationships if you really start to work on that part of you.
So what I'm hearing is actually with manifesting a specific person, there's two parts to it. There's one, the attraction part, and then there's the back end where you have to be a complete individual to be able to give into the relationship as equally as you take. And but wouldn't you say that on the back end, once you are that whole individual with the self-love, being emotionally, spiritually mature, all of that, wouldn't that help you on the front end as well?
Yes. Yes, it does. Because you are no longer with this long list of things of what that person has to do to make you happy. So you've given that person the greatest gift of all, which is the gift of unconditional love. You don't need to do certain things to make me feel loved. I am grateful and I have humility and I bring that towards you. And whatever you do, I feel so happy about. So you come from the place of what you give is enough, what you give is enough, what you give is enough. And when you're in that place, you've got your hands off your hips. And, I see a lot of hands on hip stuff where they owe me, they used to do this, they used to do that. And that is the poison fertilizer that kills the plant of your beautiful relationship.
When you say they used to do this and they used to do that, is that describing maybe the honeymoon phase where everything's, roses, and then that, I guess, infatuation fades away and people are themselves without all of the brain chemicals? Or what is that referring to?
I think you explained it well. It is a honeymoon phase. Anyone can have a good relationship for the first few months because you're bringing the best of you, you're happy, you are enjoying each other, you connect from a place of fun and adventure and getting to know their mind and their body and their hobbies and all of that. And it's such a wonderful time. But what happens is after the honeymoon phase, your fears come up, your anxieties come up, what aren't they doing for me anymore? Why is this happening again? Some people have it once and some people have it as a reoccurring pattern in a relationship. It doesn't matter if they change the relationship, they still end up back in that same spot because it's you that is getting a reflection of where you're at. And you're always going to get that reflection.
Wow.
So the relationship will always tell you how well you are really doing within your own self-love work.
Got it. And I guess with the attraction element, is it that people are listing out the things they want in a partner without thinking about, because like attracts like.
Yes.
So when people list those things out, are they subconsciously projecting like an ideal version of themselves, or what's going on there?
Well, I think they are projecting out all the things they would like, and often they themselves are those things, not always. I mean, someone could be not interested in cooking, let's say, but they would love to be around someone who cooks, and they're fantastic at cleaning, and that's what they want to do. So you get a reflection of what you really are focused on that is a preference. Okay, so your preferences come to life. A lot of people write the list of what they want in a relationship. And we hear that a lot in law of attraction circles and personal development. We rarely hear, what list are you going to write that you're going to offer in a relationship? What are you going to offer that person? What are you going to bring to that relationship? That's the list to write. It's two halves of a nut. You write the first list and then you write the second list, because that's the list that makes you look at yourself and go, okay, I have got some really wonderful qualities. I'm really good at taking care of myself. I'm at a really good weight. I'm healthy. I have good self-care in my routine around sleep and exercise and being positive and just making sure that I have a self-respect, let's say, about how I treat myself. And then if I do that, that self-respect then attracts someone who will respect me. So it always comes back down to the self. And it's, once you change yourself, the whole world changes. Your relationships, the relationships you have, the money you have, the meaningful work you have. It's all a reflection of the sum total of what you really believe about each and every topic.
Wow. That's really eye-opening, actually. And so when we're talking about specific people, is it that people are trying to attract relationships, or do they have their sights set on somebody already and they're seeing that's what they want and they want that person?
Some people have a specific person that is an ex, that the ex and them broke up and they would like them back. Some people have a specific person that they've never been with, but they've got some contact with them, whether it's online or in person. It might be someone at work. It might be someone that works in a cafe. It might be someone that you are in a book club with or whatever, and you just really like them, but you've never, ever been with them. So specific person manifestation is a massive topic. I would say 6 out of 10 emails I get are about a specific person manifestation and wanting that. So it is a huge topic, and it is possible to manifest a specific person, just like it's possible to manifest a brand new relationship. But it is a really big trending topic. I would say one of the biggest trending topics. And it has been since I started in 2015. So it's consistently been a topic that is hugely important to people. So manifesting a specific person, if that's something you want to do and be able to hold on to it past the 2, 3, 6 months, there has to be a big change in you around your self-love and your self-worth, your self-confidence, feeling adequate and feeling good enough, because it's a big area where people often feel rejected and not wanted and not loved, and that the person doesn't want to step into that circle with them. So it brings up a lot of old stuff from childhood or from being rejected in past relationships if you've had some. So it's a really, let's say if you are someone who wants to manifest a specific person, your specific person will be one of your greatest teachers of all time, because it will hit you in every raw pink nerve that you have. And it is really on purpose so that you heal those parts of you. It is a real gift. It doesn't always feel like a gift when you're in it, but it is a real gift.
And I can see why then people would need a coach to be by their side while they're going through all of that.
Yeah, I mean, these days, there are many people coaching on this topic. I think I would just say, if you are someone that wants help with that, I would ask that you ask the person that's going to coach you, have you manifested a specific person, and are you still in that relationship and maintaining it yourself? Because that, I think, is where you're going to get the best coaching of all. It is not an easy thing to do, and it is not an easy thing to maintain, especially in the beginning. So if you can get some help, make sure that you get that from your coach. I think that is the greatest requirement to get good coaching on that subject.
Right. That's pretty crazy though. I personally, I am able to attract specific people. It's not as serious. I'm not in a phase of my life where I'm thinking about marriage forever and ever, but I do have experiences where I see somebody and I'm interested in them, and I manifest them being interested in doing the same activities that I would do that they normally wouldn't, and that using that as like an open door. But I have not really thought about the back end of it. But what you're saying, it all rings true with my experience of, attracting people and not maintaining it for one reason or the other. Sometimes it's me attracting a specific person, but I don't know why I'm attracting them. And then I am able to, I guess, get them to talk to me, but then they turn out to be something that I wasn't looking for. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, so I think sometimes it's the qualities, Shannon, that it's like it's like a little light on the horizon that pulls you in. And sometimes that person will be around for a week. Sometimes they'll be around for 10 years. It's like sometimes we never know. But we're very drawn to certain people more than others. And that's always that fascinating phenomenon, is why am I so drawn to this person? Why? What is it? And it's not just about the way they dress or the chemistry or, there are often, as you get to know them, many more deeper lessons that person has to teach you, for you to teach them, for sharing, for love, and for sometimes resolving childhood issues. So yeah, it can be a fascinating thing, looking at why am I so attracted to this specific person? What is it?
Mm-hmm. And there are some things we just don't know until it happens, and we look back retroactively like, that was the lesson I was supposed to learn with that person.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say about people attracting a certain type of person, and they're kind of in this cycle where they see the signs that maybe a specific person isn't good for them, but they still feel drawn to that person. And then that person ends up repeating the same pattern that was probably, not good for the person. What would you say about all of that?
Well, I think when you get drawn in because so often you hear people say later, I saw the signs, I knew this wasn't going to be good, but I still went in there. And it's like when we get drawn in like that, it's the child, the teenager in us that still has some unresolved issues. And that person is a dovetail match to what you need to learn, what you need to resolve, what you need to let go of. And all of that is sometimes a uncomfortable journey with certain people. But maybe the lesson sometimes is just boundaries. Oh, that person, the one I see a lot is, that person has addictions to alcohol, drugs, substances that are not good for them. And I am still getting drawn in because that is my father. That was my mother. And it's like the lesson is sometimes boundaries, to not be around that if that is something that pulls you into an emotionally bad space. So what our parents are, and if they're still alive, or if what they were when we were growing up, we will often become one parent and attract the other.
And is that like a self-fulfilling prophecy where they're aware of it and they can't do anything to stop it? Or is that where the meditation, the journaling, those affirmations come in?
I don't think the meditation and the journaling, it goes deep enough. I think you have to do inner child work. I think you have to go back to the child in you and the fact that it is drawn to that, even if it's not good for it being the inner child. But the adult is allowing the child to draw it into these situations because it's looking for resolution. It's looking for answers. It's looking to offload what it's been carrying, because the body's like a suitcase. It carries emotions. And, a lot of people know about Neville Goddard, but Neville Goddard says the past is still alive. it's not, it died 10 years ago. If you have a father who is, say, a narcissist and an alcoholic, then you will be most likely, if you are living an unconscious life or just a life where you're on autopilot, you will often pick men, if you are dating men, that have those two issues, until you go back and do the inner child work to clear that old stuff about your dad. And it's possible. I mean, I've had many relationships where I recreated my father and I became my mother. But over the years, with doing all the internal work, I now have a relationship with someone who is nothing like my father. He's extremely giving. He's extremely loving. He's extremely supportive, whether it's in my work or in my personal life. And we work together, and we've been together for 10 years now. But he was my specific person all those years ago. And all those years ago, when we were first getting together and I still had some healing to do, he got annoyed with me and he said, "You're not for me, you're not for me." So I had some work to do on why is he saying that to me, and what bad habits have I got that I still need to work on. And now, over a decade later, he never says that anymore. I've resolved that stuff. He's, loving, kind, supportive, considerate, because I'm not doing what I was doing back then. So the specific person is a really interesting area of manifesting. It will drag you over the fire coals if you are operating from your old past stuff. But it is one of the most amazing areas of transformation if you will do the inner work. It is an amazing journey of freeing yourself from a lot of childhood stuff that it can show up at work, as in not getting paid enough, working too hard, being cheated on in relationships, being taken advantage of, being used, being ghosted, all these things that we hear on a daily basis. Well, in my line of work, I hear those things regularly. But going back and doing the work on yourself and looking at what is my SP triggering in me, and therefore what do I need to work on to break free of this, it is the most incredible journey that you become so much more free, loved, secure, and you feel adequate. And that's where you're heading, is to clear all that up.
Wow. Lots to unpack there. So I know that the subconscious has no construct of time. Past, present, and future are all happening at the same time. And because it's the subconscious, it is subject to the conscious mind. So like when you're growing up and you have trauma that you experience, then it gets stored back there in the subconscious and it gets played over and over again. And so then later on it shows up in relationships, and then that's where the inner work comes in. But so how do you go back to that place, and how do you, once you recognize it, what's a way that you can then reverse the programming?
Well, firstly, it's looking at, okay, what is my trigger? For me, it's feeling unloved and being rejected. Okay, so if that's your trigger, and being perhaps left for somebody else, so you're in a third party situation, or you're in here we go again, I'm second best to somebody else. So you go, okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at, if I've got those operating today, where did this begin? I felt second best to one of my siblings, or I felt second best at school to my best friend, or it happened when I was out with my cousins and, I was always being left behind or picked last or whatever. All of these scenarios, in whatever arena it occurred, you've got to go back and look at where this first began, that you can remember. Now, you may not remember the exact scenario, but you will remember the feeling that you had it with your mum, or you had it with your dad, or you had it when you were at school. You will remember. And what you do is you can do this. I've got 2 inner child meditations people can use for free if they don't want to go to a coach, where the inner child meditation takes you through, and you basically are to release the emotions as they come up. So as you do that over and over and over again, your suitcase gets lighter, and then the trajectory changes. So because people talk a lot about, Shannon, the law of attraction, right? The law of attraction is only one law. There are many laws that dovetail together, but the law of attraction is the one that in our industry rises to the top. Really, it's what you assume, the law of assumption about something or someone. Then the law of assumption hands over the baton to the law of projection. What happens then is the energy gets projected out from you. Then what happens is the law of attraction picks up your projection and gives you back a photocopy, which is the experiences that you have. So they're like triplets. They go together. So your experience is always going to default back to what you really think and feel about a topic. Not what you say you think and feel, but what you really feel and think. And the inner child holds the key to all of that. That's where all the addictions come from. That's where all the drama comes from. That's where all the anger, resentment, and bad behavior of over contacting people, blowing up their phone, being demanding, perhaps trying to force a relationship, trying to look for reassurance, which is exploded since social media. This looking for reassurance and look at me and look what I'm doing and needing adulation from others. All of that stuff comes from the child. So you go back, you do the inner child work. You can do it for free with these 2 meditations, but do it regularly. If you do that work regularly, your suitcase gets lighter. Your inner child feels that you finally heard it, and it's let go of the emotion, because it's the emotion is the magnet that draws these types of experiences. So the lighter you are, the more emotions you've offloaded from your childhood, and you'll know when to do it. As soon as you get hit with something in a relationship, with your boss, with your mum and dad, your siblings, one of your best friends, that's when you do the work, because you feel the jealousy, or you feel the envy, or you feel rage, and you think, hang on a minute, why am I feeling so much rage about one thing that someone said to me? It's not what the person said to you, it's the fact that it's layered and loaded for years of other people doing it, and the child is the one that's carrying it. So the inner child work is the most important work to do. Yes, self-love meditations, affirmations are important too, but you can't ice a rotten cake. You must do the underneath work. It is the most important work. And then you do the reprogramming with the meditations and the affirmations.
Wow. How long does that all take, or when people start doing these meditations and affirmations, usually, for them to see a change or a shift?
Well, if you're consistent, you can see a change, in 2, 3, 6 months. But it's work that you do for a lifetime, because you will get triggered. I mean, I used to get triggered once a day or twice a day, whether it was at work or in my relationship or a relative or whatever. And you're up and down like a yo-yo emotionally. Today, it might be once every 3 or 4 months, so the frequency gets less and less and less as you offload more and more and more. So you can see results in a short period of time, but it's ongoing work, because life will hit you in your raw pink nerves. It just will, just purely by moving around in life out in the world where there's people, and also your closer circle, your personal circle, and your romantic sexual circle. That is probably the one that hits people the most.
Yes, I have noticed. I've started doing this inner work, and like you said, the frequency of, or I guess the threshold for me to get triggered has rose to a level where now I am able to recognize these feelings and be like, okay, the reason why I feel this way is that, and I can compartmentalize it. It does not get to me, but there are certain people in my circle who just push the right buttons, and it's very, very hard to not get triggered. I do agree. It is a lifelong work. I mean, relationships do tend to be ongoing work. So,
yes, definitely. It humbles us all, Shannon. It humbles us all.
Yeah. And I think that's also important for people to understand is once they achieve what they want, it's not coasting. They have a commitment to themselves to continue working on this so that their lives unfold in ways that are favorable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that is one of the disillusionments of people when they idealize and they fantasize and they think, oh, once I get that thing, I'm done, I'm good. But it's no, the other side of the coin is the happily ever after is actually you continuing to do the things that you had to do to attract those things in the first place.
Yes.
So let's talk about the initial element of this, because we kind of described the journey, the ongoing journey, but what does it look like at the very beginning when someone is trying to attract a certain person and they haven't yet thought about those long-term goals and they just want, maybe they see somebody they think is cute and they want to attract that person?
So what are you asking? What are the first steps?
Yeah, what does that typically look like? If let's say you're coaching somebody and they say they're interested in somebody, or does that not really happen? I guess I've never worked in this specific person type.
Yeah, no, that happens. Yeah, that happens. It's either someone comes and they're devastated because they've been rejected by a specific person, or they're feeling not good enough to manifest a brand new specific person that they've seen and have never been with. So what the steps are firstly looking at where you feel not good enough, where that comes from in your childhood, and then putting a weekly plan in place to really work on your self-love, to clear any I'm not good enough, I'm inadequate from childhood. And then it's looking at your beliefs about yourself, your beliefs about relationships, your beliefs about men or women, whatever gender you prefer to date. And then it's looking at your beliefs around certain specific people, such as exes and perhaps your current specific person, because we do have a lot of negative thoughts, feelings, and beliefs about someone, like they won't like me, they'll find someone better. Fears of other women or other men, which comes from feeling I'm second best and I'm not good enough once again. And it's working on that. And then it's also practicing some visualizations, living in the end, which is from Neville Goddard, where you actually live in the end of what you desire. Wayne Dyer calls it living in the wish fulfilled. Abraham Hicks calls it being in the vortex. They all use different ways of saying it, but it's basically being in the solution of what you would like to have. And then it's enjoying the feelings as you are seeing it in your head through pictures or hearing it as a conversation. Some people are not visual. So if they're not visual, I work more in an audio way. If people are visual, then we do imaginal scenes, meditations to back up what they want. And some people want very specific scenarios. Some people want to get married. Some people want to move in together. Some people want to live separately but see each other every day. So it's like they have to be catered for what that person's very specific desires are. Some people want to have babies, and some people want to have lots of children with someone. So it's incorporating all of that into the work that we do. And it's just, coaching is just to work out, okay, how does this person best learn? Some people are very introverted. They don't like coaching. They don't want to be seen. They'd rather do a course and work quietly on their own. So it depends what style of person emails me, because that's often the first contact. And then from that, it's working out, okay, how do you prefer to learn? And which are your preferred ways of learning? And then from that, it's, okay, well, let's go this route. And then it's just, checking in so that the person is accountable to themselves for doing the work, whether it's weekly work, monthly work, 6-monthly work. I mean, I've had some clients since 2016. They're not working on the same goal. They've manifested certain things and they go, okay, now I want to look at this. I want to look at money instead of relationships. And so it's just really hearing what someone needs, where they're at mentally and emotionally, and then creating a very specific plan for them so that they can follow it, and that also doesn't overload them, because people have jobs, kids, animals, aging parents, responsibilities. So it's making it work within those very simple times in their day. Like for me, I've been doing gratitude in the shower for probably 20 years. Now, that's something that I will say to the people I work with. If you're going to do gratitude, make it at the same time every day where you're doing the same activity. I mean, when you're in the shower, generally you're by yourself, so no one's going to interrupt you there. So that's a great place to do gratitude. Doing affirmations when you go walking or when you're at the gym, that's great because you're in motion. Doing affirmations when you're moving seems to go well together. So it's working out those very specific plans that suit the person's Monday to Sunday. How much responsibility have they got, and let's fit in these little bits of manifesting, thread it through their week.
And you mentioned that when people email you, you kind of direct them to where they need to go. If they like to be seen, maybe it's coaching. If they're more introverted, it would be like one of your courses. What's the difference between your beginner, intermediate, and advanced courses?
Well, the beginner's course are really the foundational self-love that has to be addressed first. And then there will be another layer of what they want to manifest. So if it's a specific person, or if it's a new relationship, or if it's a dream job, they will be doing elements of that and elements of the self-love to go with it. The intermediate courses are a bit more advanced in the techniques, and they require a bit more concentration and focus, because a lot of people say to me continually, I'm not good at focusing, I'm not good at concentrating, and that's because we live in the age of multitasking and devices and all of that. So it's developing more concentration and more focus to be able to do the more challenging techniques in that middle intermediate level. And when you go into the advanced levels, you're doing long stints of visualizing, long stints of living in the end, and long stints of getting into the feeling place. That's what differentiates the advanced from the intermediate from the beginners. You are now at a level where you are now going to be required to focus with no distraction for extended periods of time. And it's a focus-based universe. So if you're focusing for longer periods of time and you're not in thinking about what you haven't got, what's not working, what you can't have, what you haven't had yet, what you should have got ages ago, you're jumping out of that track into more absorption in the wish-fulfilled state. And that's what makes the advanced courses advanced.
Okay. And how long do those courses usually take?
The courses that I've got are, the shortest one is 7 days, and you just do one video a day, and then the longer ones are 15 days. And yeah, I've got one that's I think 16 parts or 17 parts that I did with Patty Stanger. She's the woman that did the Millionaire Matchmaker series on Bravo for quite a few seasons. Her and I have actually got a Manifesting Love course that we did together, and that's probably the longest course.
Got it. Okay, and that just gives an idea to the listeners of what they should be looking for when they decide, if they decide to search for more guidance on that. And I guess for the listeners who don't do that right now, what is the number one thing somebody needs to know if they want to manifest successfully? And what is the number one thing somebody should avoid at all costs if they want their manifestation to happen?
This took me a little while to think about, and I thought it was a really good question because there's so many things you could answer. But I was thinking about it today, and I thought the number one thing that you need to successfully manifest is to really be in the state of having your desire, and then to surrender and let it go. So you're going from living in the state of, say, wealth or love, and then you surrender and you let it go and you get on with your day. So you have to get good at jumping into the states, which is an emotional state. That's what a state is. The state of wealth, the state of love, the state of feeling free, which we've discussed earlier on. Those states attract the most amazing relationships, jobs, and money. That is the state required. Those are the states required emotionally. So that would be the answer to that. Your second question, what is the thing that needs to be avoided to manifest? And this one's a little bit easier to answer. Forcing, chasing, pushing, demanding, looking for reassurance, and being a massive action figure. This is internal work. So you got to give up your external bad habits.
Whoa. What does that mean to be the action figure?
Well, action figure would be, as an example, you want a relationship. You're on a dating app. So you've contacted someone and then they've responded, so you're linked up. And then you go into all this over talking, over contacting, because you're trying to make it happen faster, because you're feeling lonely, you haven't had a relationship for 2 years, you feel unloved and unwanted, and you see this as the bright, shiny object that's going to make you feel good. So when people are feeling negative emotions, such as anxiety or unlovedness or loneliness in particular in regards to relationships or specific people, they go into overdrive with overdoing, and that's the action figure. And the action figure is trying to compensate. Actually, Shannon, you gave me a good example at the beginning of our conversation with the have to work hard for money. So I understand you say that because the generation you're in, the generation I'm in, we heard that from our parents and our grandparents' generations. That was their bumper sticker. You have to work hard, and that makes you a great person. Now, today, working hard is actually quite silly when you don't understand working smarter, working in a more efficient way. That can bring way more money in than working hard. Working hard can burn out a lot of people, and I'm sure many people know in their families people that have died from working hard. And as soon as they retire, they're ready to enjoy life, and then they drop dead. I mean, that story is not uncommon. So we have to look at our action figure ways. I'm not saying you don't do any action, but what you do is you do only inspired action. So when something feels right, it feels easy, someone contacts you and you go, oh my goodness, that guy or that woman on that dating app, I've just read what they've got on their profile. That's exactly what I've been saying that I want. So when that happens, you send one message, you wait, they reply. It's not you've sent 15 messages and they've sent you one line, and you are so overcompensating, tripping over yourself to get them to meet you. That's the action figure. And that, I'm not saying it never works, but it burns people out, and it also is unnecessary when you understand working with your mind and with your energy. If you do the internal work, you only have to do about 20% action instead of 80. So you conserve your energy. You have fuel in the tank. You have energy in the tank. And you never drop your battery below 50%. Because I see so many people, especially around relationships, dream job, money, they burn themselves out and everyone says they're exhausted. I hear that at least half a dozen times a day in emails. I'm exhausted. I've been trying to do this manifesting work, but I'm working and I'm going to all these interviews, or I'm meeting all these people on dates, and they're going for quantity, not quality. Conserve your energy, conserve your time, conserve your money, conserve your resources. And then when you are in that place of you've conserved things, you don't move around exhausted. You don't move around chasing everything that pops up. You're very selective. You keep things close to your chest, and you only are choosing what really feels right, whether it's a relationship, a job, a money opportunity, whatever it is. You don't move too quick, too fast. It's the turtle that won the race, not the rabbit.
Wow. I think viewers are going to love that. That is super valuable. And this notion of the action figure, I have not heard of that before, actually. That's amazing.
Yeah. There's a lot of rabbits and action figures around, Shannon. As you look around your life, you will see a lot of people trying to make things happen and get things going and do this and do that. It's the ones in the background quietly just observing, learning, thinking, pondering, and then when it feels right, they make the move from a place of inspiration and intuition. Those are the best decisions ever made. But that requires self-regulation, self-control, and that comes with practice. It's not usually something that any of us are born with. We learn it as we go.
Right.
Yeah.
I was going to say that I am one of the rabbits, I think, because when I have an idea, I just, boom, 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 try to get it done. But I think there is merit to sitting back and being cognizant of your options, because then you're coming from a place of power.
Correct.
When you get to select.
Yeah, but Shannon, sometimes if you are doing that, it could be coming from inspiration. If you get an idea and you go, wow, I love that. Bang, I'm going to go and do that. That rush of amazing energy that just pushes you from behind, that can be inspiration. But it's you got to be where you're asking yourself, am I knee-jerking out of fear because I'm scared I won't get the opportunity, or am I being inspired and this is something that I know would be fantastic? It looks the same on the surface, but what's sitting underneath is what you got to look at. What's driving my action? And that is going to be a different answer for different people, because it sounds like you're quite a creative person. And if you're creative and you get good ideas and you go with it, then that can really flourish and thrive. But you just got to go, is it my intuition, my inspiration, or is it me knee jerking because I'm trying to get my action figure hat on and I'm trying to make something happen? You just got to ask yourself, which is it? And then if you can answer that, it will save you so many hassles and dramas and issues. It makes life much smoother and much easier.
Yes. I think if people do things for the right reasons, they ask themselves, okay, why am I doing this? Is it because I truly, truly want it? Or is it something that I think I'm supposed to do?
That's it. Yeah. That's it.
And you mentioned that there's some content that you wanted, if people are interested, I'm going to post them in the links below. Your website, your YouTube channel, and anything else?
Yeah, I was thinking, because you've got your audience and obviously you know what they're interested in, and we're talking today about money, relationships, and specific person. I've got some really good free stuff people can just go and check out and use. Number one, there is a meditation to manifest love that Patty Stanger and I did together. And I will give you the link for that. There is also number two, a 12-part Manifesting a Wonderful Relationship series I will give you the link for that. Number 3, there's a 6-part attracting your person. And that can be for someone specific, or it can be you want a brand new relationship. Number 4, there is a 6-part long distance relationship, which a lot of people are in, especially now with dating apps and dating, people overseas, other cities and all of that. There is also a free manifestation tracker. Now, this is quite a in-depth document that people can use to track what they want to manifest in different categories. They can set up weekly plans, monthly plans, yearly plans, and it is something that you can fill in online. It is a online friendly filler in thing, or you can print it out and then just do it manually. And also for the women, many women do not feel beautiful, do not feel good enough physically, especially around weight and age and gender and all of this. So I've created a beauty subliminal, which is for inner beauty to match the outer beauty. And the final thing, there is an entire meditation channel that they can use for any topic that is really important to them, whatever it is they want to manifest, whether it's correcting a health condition or issue, manifesting a brand new relationship, wanting to get married, have children, get an amazing dream job and do something meaningful, or manifest a specific person, which we talked about today, or big amounts of money. There are meditations on all those topics.
Oh my goodness. You have really spoiled us.
Well, I think this is all the stuff I would have wanted when I had no money and I didn't know what I was doing. So I thought, years ago, when I'm doing better, I want to help and I want to give people the things that I know really help me, because I did a lot of things that were useless and I've cut all that out and I'm just honing in on the real meat on the bone, things that really worked for me. So this is available to your listeners.
Thank you so much to Agnes Vivarelli for doing the podcast episode with us. I think she's one of today's top manifesting coaches, not only because she teaches real change, but she's forward thinking and she teaches lasting change. If you want to check her out, her YouTube channel is linked below. I hope you enjoyed this episode and got something out of it. I'll see you next time.